Good evening, everybody. See if we can start this public comment meeting. My name is Jeb Penny, and I am an executive advisor to the Public Service Commission. I'm here filling in for the executive director, Linda Bridwell, who suddenly was not able to make it. So I'm going to be giving a brief presentation on the contents of Kentucky Power's application, a brief overview of the commission and the process. At the end of my presentation, I can take questions about the process of the rate case. I can't take questions or I can't give answers about the contents of the application or the merits of the case. We have screens here with some slideshows, and so I will be hitting the highlights of the case and the procedure. So this is about case number 2025-257, and this is the application of Kentucky Power for a general adjustment of its rates. I'll be giving this presentation. You'll have an opportunity to questions, and then after that, there'll be an opportunity to make public comments to the commissioners here. You can come up to the podium here to make your comments, please. The commissioners cannot respond. They cannot provide comments back to you all, but they are hearing you and taking notes. This video of your comments will be part of the record of the case. It will be posted to the website where the case file is located. And if you have written comments as well, you can provide them, or documents, you can provide them to the commissioners, and that will also make its way to the public record. So a little bit of history about the Public Service Commission. It was created in 1934. It has 3 members. It's of an administrative body. They're appointed by the governor and are confirmed by the state senate, and they have quasi-judicial duties. What that means is in this capacity, they act like judges. So that is why they cannot comment on the merits of the case, because it would give an appearance that they had prejudged the case. So they will hear your comments, and when there is a hearing later on, they will also take all the evidence. Commission staff will conduct cross-examination as well as the interveners, and they will exercise their quasi-judicial powers when they render a final order on the case. So the commission regulates over 1,100 utilities in Kentucky. It's funded by an assessment that is paid by the utilities that they can recover from their ratepayers. And the standard that the commission uses, it requires that every utility has to furnish adequate, efficient, at reasonable service at fair, just, and reasonable rates. So one of the reasons, particularly for electric utilities, why the commission sets rates for them is because utilities are not in a competitive business. They are monopolies, and because they're not subject to competitive pressures, the commission, by law, regulates their rates and services. And they're regulated to protect against the risk of poor service and profits in the excess of costs that the utilities recover. So the rate process is governed by statutes and regulations. The process, fairly straightforward. A utility will file its application, and it includes written testimony and other evidence to support their request. Parties may seek intervention. They must be represented by an attorney. All the parties respond to requests for information, discovery, back and forth. There's an evidentiary hearing which provides for the cross-examination of witnesses, and then there'll be a final order deciding this matter. Now, then there will also be an opportunity for the filing and making of public comments. So, how does the commission set rates broadly? The rates that the commission sets must allow a utility to provide adequate service, maintain its financial integrity, and that means it has to be able to attract investors and get loans at a favorable rate. The United States Supreme Court, and this is a lodestar of utility law, has held that rates that do not allow the recovery of enough money to provide adequate service, and maintain financial integrity violates the United States Constitution. It's a governmental taking. So Kentucky Power generates and purchases electricity to meet its native load. It distributes and sells that electricity in all or portions of 20 counties in Kentucky. It has approximately 162,000 customers, and it's a wholly owned subsidiary of American Electric Power. Kentucky Power's last rate case increase was in January of 2024. So this application, Kentucky Power is requesting a almost $96 million increase in their revenues, or an approximate increase of 14.62%. The average monthly bill of a customer will increase by roughly $27 a month, according to this 14.9% increase. Kentucky Power says in their application that the primary reasons for this increase is to allow them to operate successfully is to maintain the financial integrity of the company, attract capital, recover fuel cost, and support investments from the Mitchell Power Plant. Specifically, what Kentucky Power has requested would be to remove storm expenses from base rates, create a new generation rider to recover cost associated with the Mitchell Plant capital improvements, create a voluntary prepayment system associated with advanced meter infrastructure. It's called FlexPay. Install a declining energy block for residential customers, and an optional two-tiered customer charge. I want to note that the case number on the top of this slide is incorrect. It should be 2025-00257, just in case people are taking pictures, and I don't want to mislead anybody to the wrong case on the Commission's website. The intervening parties of this are the Attorney General. They have a statutory right to intervene and are charged with representing the interests of Kentucky consumers, particularly residential customers. The Kentucky Industrial Utility customers, they represent large industrial customers of Kentucky Power. The Kentucky Solar Industries Association, SWVA Kentucky, which is a steel mill, I believe, and a collaboration of joint interveners, including Kentuckians for the Commonwealth and Mountain Association. So, what are the steps leading up to the hearing? The Commission will hold 3 public hearings. This is the second one. We had one in Pikeville before Thanksgiving, and the third one will be in Ashland, January 8th. The hearing is scheduled in Frankfort to begin on Tuesday, January 13th at 9 a.m. Public comments will be accepted at the start of the hearing on January 13th at 9 a.m. Those are in-person public comments where you can come to Frankfort, step up to the microphone, and make your statement, your comments that will go on to the record at the time. The hearing is open to the public, and finally, by law, a final order has to be issued no later than June 29th of 2026, and if the Commission doesn't act, Kentucky Power may charge those rates that they have proposed in the application. So that's the high-level overview of the process and the contents of the application. Does anybody have any questions about the procedure for this rate application? Okay, thank you very much. Now would be the time for comments. All right, thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay, can everyone hear me? Good evening. My name is Angie Hatton. I'm Chair of the Kentucky Public Service Commission, and joining me this evening are Commissioners Mary Pat Regan and Andrew Wood. This meeting is being recorded for the record and for the benefit of the public, and it will be posted on the PSC's website. It will be entered into the record of the case. We're here today to take public comments in the rate case application made by Kentucky Power Company. To reiterate the point made during the overview, the role and obligation of the PSC is to ensure that the new rates adopted by the Kentucky Power Company are fair, just, and reasonable, and adjust Kentucky Power's proposals as permitted by law. We understand that in any rate case, emotions are high. People have strong emotions. We understand that. We don't have to come down here. We do this because we want to hear what you have to say. A lot of these people have driven a long way. I expect everyone to be civil, to listen when other people are talking. And as long as you do, we'll sit right here and listen to you. But I'm not going to subject my staff to vulgarities or threats. They work too hard. We wouldn't be here if we didn't care. We expect to be treated with respect. And as long as you do it, we will sit right here and listen to you. We're going to have time limits, and there's a reason. And we need people to stick to the time limits. If someone gets up and talks for 2 hours, other people have to get home to their kids and various other obligations, and they won't get a chance to speak. So we're going to have a 5-minute time limit, and Commissioner Regan's going to set the timer, and she'll let me know when that 5 minutes is up. I'll let you wrap up with a sentence or two at the end of your 5 minutes, and then that has to be it. We are here to listen. We cannot answer your questions. We have to judge this case, and we haven't heard the evidence yet. We cannot answer your questions tonight. We can listen to you. We can hear your questions. And if you watch these hearings, sometimes you will see that we ask questions of the applicants that we heard at these public comment hearings. So they are useful. Also, what you're saying is in the record. So it's basically like you're testifying. So with that said, when I call your name, come up to this microphone here, and we'll begin the timer after you tell us your name and address. You can leave the address as your city if that's what you want. I know some people had issues with giving an address. So I'll call in the order that's on my list here, and I'm going to go with everyone who checked yes that they wanted to speak. And then at the end, when I get all the way through, I'll ask if there's anyone who's changed their mind. And if there's people who didn't click yes, but they have changed their mind and decided to speak, we're going to let you speak. Everyone who wants to speak will get an opportunity. I again ask everyone to be respectful. Unfortunately, we already see vulgarity has shown up. I don't know what place there is for that in a public proceeding like this, but please just be respectful and civil, and we're going to listen to you. That's what we're here for. Okay. I had, let's see, a couple of public officials. I wanted to offer the opportunity if they want to go first. Judge Alexander, did you want to go first? Oh, there he is, sorry.
Are we here? Good. All right. Just first, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I've been to several of these, Senator, and lots of times a lot of people showed up. So I'm glad that a lot of people have showed up today. The other thing I'd like to ask everybody: did we ever believe we'd be standing here discussing when power bills are running as much or more than your house payment? None of us thought we would ever see that day, but we're there. I want to step back to 2009 when we started having these discussions about the Big Sandy and switching to the Mitchell and retiring a coal-fired plant, and how that was going to do us really good and save us a lot of money. We all know the results. We have the data now from 2009 until now to know that our power rates has went from some of the best in the country to some of the highest in the country, and I call it the high cost of low cost. So we always hear how going from coal to other forms of electricity is going to save us money because of the cost up front of a coal-fired plant. But I'm saying we now have the data to show us that that's not true. I argued back then on the fact of what's it going to cost to clean up the coal-fired plant. And we never could come to a true cost of what was going to be passed back on to the customers. But I'm here today to tell you that had we retrofitted that plant, upgraded that plant, it would have cost no more than what we done to tear the plant down and do away with it. Now, for a lot of people, we don't realize it, and I don't fully understand it. But we're in a war. We're in a war with China. The senators know this, or representatives know this. They call it data centers. I call it artificial intelligence. But there's a race on to put these centers up. And whether we admit it or not, right here in East Kentucky and all in America, we're in a war with the rest of the world to how are we going to power these data centers. There's no better answer from me than for us to revisit the reliable use of coal. We must get back to looking at how does coal help shape America for the next 50 to 100 years. Nobody's ever discussed that. It's always been, well, let's just shut it down. Let's just turn it off. But it's time that we start discussing how do we have a 50 or 100-year plan. And me and my family as a coal miner, I would listen on how we start using renewables more, how we get off of coal from now until then. But it's obvious it didn't work. And I say the high cost of low cost because a lot of these companies would still be mining some coal. They are high-end users of energy, and it would have helped offset the rates for the residential rates. So I just wanted to touch on that. I think I know we're looking at bringing on another gas-fired plant, but at the minimum, it needs to be looked at as a hybrid plant to where when gas gets too high, a lot of plants switch back to coal. So therefore, it becomes the cheapest of whichever one is available. So I just briefly wanted to touch on that. And we as a county, along with our elected leaders, are actively pursuing data centers to try to get some high-end users of power. And one of the questions I get from them is can we supply the power? So, you know, we've got to revisit the way we look at energy and electricity and realize that we cannot continue on the path that we've been on because we can't make it. I'll close with that.
Mayor Mobilini.
I agree with Judge Alexander. I don't have a whole lot to say. I've never really been part of the Public Service Commission. But we ran our bills today at the City of Hazard, and we're at $2 million right now of what we've paid AEP for this year. If this rate increase goes in place, you're looking at $350 to $400 more $1,000 tacked onto that. And you know, the rate's been raised since 2020 every year. And you know, if it's hard for a municipality to pay that, just imagine what it's doing to the individual homeowners. I'm just saying, If there's any way possible that y'all can vote against this, vote against it.
Senator Maiden, did you want to go first? Okay. Did I have other public officials who wanted to go first? Right.
I'm Fitz Steele, former state representative, 4-term, current city commissioner. How many of you all are customers of Kentucky Power? And on this board, how many?
We're not supposed to answer questions.
Okay.
But I know you all already know that.
All right. Well, instead of doing the float bids in the Big Sandy, they tore them down. And it was supposed to be cheaper coming out of West Virginia. That was wrong. It's been wrong. It's been wrong the whole time. All they've wanted to do is kill coal, kill the coal miner. Well, hell, they've done it. And I saw yesterday that Kentucky American Water got a 10% raise in Lexington and to their customers, which would be $13 more a month. You know, Angie, you're from the hills. These floods have killed us, but we stick together, and that's one thing about this. We will stick together, and there's only one solution, and that's go back to what built this country. China's doing it, India's doing it, everyone else is doing it but us. We're the only ones that are trying to do green energy. Hell, they're not trying to do it nowhere else. And that's what we need to do. We can't afford this. We can't, I mean, the thousands of people that have moved away from here, not counting our people that have been devastated. And it would have been a whole lot worse if those ponds hadn't have caught that water coming off the mountain. Has anybody thought about that? So I'm just asking you, do what you can. I know it's every damn bit political. I've been there. I know how it works. And do what you can, and we'd appreciate it. And we're mountain people. They can think what they want to of us, but we do stick together, and thank you.
Did we have other public officials who wanted to make sure and get a chance to speak before you have to go elsewhere? Representative Fugit.
Thank you, Commissioners, for coming today. Chris Fugit, I'm the state representative of the 84th District, Perry, Breathitt, and Owsley County. But really, I'm here as not just that position, but a citizen, of course, of the county, and I've lived here all my life. I'm a pastor of Gospel Light Baptist Church, and, of course, a state representative. I want to look at this, how it's a hardship on our people. When you talk about fair, just, and reasonable, fair to who? Is it fair to the 82-year-old woman, Wilma Sturgill, that comes to our church, that lives in a single-wide mobile home, that I saw in Walmart yesterday, and she said, "Preacher, I need to talk to you about something." And I knew what that was. She can't pay her power bill this month. Is this rate increase fair to her? No. Is it fair to the 74-year-old man that comes to our church that lives by himself on a fixed income that has no way of doing any better? Is it fair to him? No. Is it fair to the everyday working, hard-working person who has a power bill that's higher than their mortgage payment? That's not fair to them either. It's not fair to our businesses, our commercial businesses. It's not fair to them. If you look at, we have a fellow that owns businesses here in Perry County, and I've got the bills. I would like for you all to take them and put them into the record that show that they use 56,000 kilowatts in Corbin in their store, and their bill was $5,285. Their store used 44,000 kilowatts in Hazard, and their bill was $8,300 and some dollars. If you do the math, 9 cents in Corbin, 18 cents in Hazard. Is that fair? No, that's not fair. To add another 15%, and really you look at what is the rate? What is the rate right now? I've got some other bills that I'd like to turn into you all to look at because the numbers, these are actual bills. Here's a bill of a resident whose bill was $306.64 divided by 1840 kilowatt hours. That's 16 cents, 1.166 cents per kilowatt. You have a commercial building whose bill is $207.26 divided by 765 kilowatt. That's 27 cents per kilowatt hour. The same company has another building that the math shows is 29 cents per kilowatt. They have a hangar at the airport that their bill was $1466.27 divided by 37.44. That's 39 cents per kilowatt. So what is the rate right now? What is the rate? Is the rate 13 cents? Is it 18 cents? Is it 39 cents? Is another 15% on top of that? Is that fair? I don't think it is. I think when you look at the people of the mountains that have endured so much, and then you add on an additional 15%, and you look at the job loss, you look at the industry that we have in the mountains, the email I got from the power company, and look, what I say about the power company does not reflect on the employees of the power company. I've got friends that work at the power company, and I'm thankful for them at 2 o'clock in the morning when the snow's heavy and the electric goes out and they come in. So this has nothing to do with the employees. It's American Electric Power who is taking advantage of those in the mountains that they could build another coal-fired plant. I've asked for the cost. What would it cost you to build a coal-fired plant rather than a gas-fired plant? No answer. We get our gas, I understand right now that the gas that's burned in our natural gas plant comes from West Virginia. If you're going to burn gas, then at least burn Kentucky gas. I guess I could go on all night. I've done this just about every year. I've been up here. And I beg you once again to not give them another increase until you at least sit down and make them show us what is the rate. Is the rate 39 cents? Is it 27 cents? Is it 29 cents? Is it 16 cents for residential? What is the rate now? And if you add 15%, is that fair? Coal-fired plant does 4 things, and I'll shut up. Number 1, it lowers our rates. Number 2, it puts some people back to work. It's not going to revitalize the coal industry all total. We've got 200 years of coal reserves in the mountains. It puts people back to work. Number 3, I do this at church too. Thank God for notes. It helps with the national grid. The national grid is important. When the grid is at its lowest point, when it's at its lowest point, that's how reliable it is. And coal is reliable all the time. If you really look at these numbers, and I'd like to give them to you after the meeting, I'll give them to you. If you look at these numbers and you ask yourself, is it fair to put 15% more on 39 cents, 18 cents? Thank you for your time.
If you have things to give, just give them to one of our staff members here. Sherry will take them. If anybody brought handouts or wants to give your speech after, we can put it in public record. Just hand it to our staff. Do we have other public officials?
Well said, Chris. I'm John Newell, Wesley County Magistrate, and I'm here to represent Wesley County and my district, which is District 4. First of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our thoughts and our ideas with you. And basically, I'll just second what Brother Chris said. And it's very difficult on our folks, especially those on fixed income. And this thought just came to my mind when Chris was talking. So when businesses have their rates increased, who do they pass that on to? Their customers. So in essence, that customer is getting a double whammy. They're not only having to pay more at the business where they work or shop, but also on their own personal electric bill. So they're getting the double whammy. And again, my heart goes out to the folks that are on fixed income, that they don't know where their next meal's coming from. They don't know how they're going to pay their electric bill. Is their electric going to be cut off? I've had folks come, I'm part of the Wesley County Ministerial Association, and we've had folks come to us. Can you help us with our electric bill? And you can only do so much. So again, please, as others have said, please take into consideration what it's going to mean to the folks here in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. It's going to be difficult. And again, remember, if that rate goes up, the businesses will be raising their rates, the businesses will be raising their prices. That customer will be paying more at that business they shop, plus their own home. Just keep that in mind. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We have a representative from Hal Rogers' office.
Sorry. Just short. Sorry about that. My name is Andrea Begley. I'm the Deputy District Director for Congressman Rogers. I'm here on his behalf while he is in Washington fulfilling his duties. While this issue falls under state jurisdiction, Congressman Rogers worked tirelessly to rein in costly regulations at the federal level that hurt our industry and our people. We are still feeling the impact of the Obama administration's war on coal and the closure of the coal-fired power plant at Big Sandy in Louisa, as well as the loss of nearly 15,000 coal mining jobs in our region. Congressman Rogers has cut unnecessary funding to the EPA and worked to reverse the Biden administration's misguided Green New Deal policies. Additionally, our region has suffered 3 major flooding disasters over the past 5 years. Many of the same people who lost everything they own are now facing higher electric bills just as they are starting to gain ground beneath their feet. Congressman Rogers has submitted this to your record as well, but I wanted to be here tonight to stand for our people. Thank you.
Okay. Any other public officials? And if not, then I'll start on the list. There's a list unless we had a public official. I just kind of give...
City commissioner.
Okay, go right ahead, ma'am.
Probably 2 or 3 hats. I'm Susan Brotherton. I've born on this street. I've lived in Hazard all my life. I own a little grocery store on the other side of this hill. I'm very passionate about us not getting a price increase. I see how my customers live. I know firsthand what I'm doing and happy, and all of us as commissioners. Scott, we are working every day to improve life in Hazard. We're trying to draw in industry. We're expanding our water plants. And our power bills have gone up. How do you beg an industry to come to the highest rate in Kentucky? How? How do they want to bring their people? And I'm on Facebook, my customers. They get on every winter. Okay, how do I pay a $600 electric bill? Okay, when they're living by the seat of their pants, all right? $27 a month might not sound like a lot. I could buy one less pair of boots or something. But we have people on fixed income. I have a store. I'm paying girls as much as I can. I sell donuts. I can't sell one for $30 a donut to offset price increases. Which person working for me do I cut their pay? The girl that she and her husband work 5 days a week, but they got 2 little kids and they pay a $400 electric bill already. Do I say go home, get less hours, less money? And this gentleman last is correct. It's the trickle effect. It does affect these people's groceries and food and their medicine. Does some old lady like Chris's church, does she say, well, I won't buy my blood pressure pills this month? It's not running that high. We are desperate to improve our area. We're working on everything we can to keep our kids at home, to make our families stay, to draw in better paying jobs. Another price increase will not help us one bit. I read their reasons. Decrease in population. They're part of the decrease in population. It's a rough mountainous area. They chose to make a business here. It was rough and mountainous then. How many years have I paid Kentucky Power? How long have they been here? They've never took a loss. Their profit last year was, let me read my note, $36.86 million. They have never took a loss that I know of. You add up, I'm blessed to live here and make a living. Very blessed. Never wanted to leave. Add up the 70 years of their profit. They can afford to spend some money. I'm desperate to make this community better, and as everyone in this room is. We really, it's just killing me. What else? And, the other part, they're asking for 13 to 15%. Then we're all supposed to be happy when they only get 6 or 7. What do they really want? What is my question in my own mind? You can't answer me. What do they really want? I just think after the floods, the way we're working, we're getting a new water plant. And our old one has to become a new one soon. They can wait a little. It's not like they're losing money. And I appreciate y'all listening to me ramble. I can talk longer, but I won't.
Okay. Any more public officials? Okay. I'm not certain what order these came in. I don't know which one of these pages came first, but I'll go with the just the one that's on top here. And 5 minutes, come up and say your name and where you're from, and then we'll start your 5 minutes. Commissioner Regan's timing for me. And we will try to give you a little wave or something when you got 1 minute left. Jessica Hall.
Hello, my name's Jessica Hall, and I'm from Jackhorn, Kentucky. I don't own a business or anything, but from situations since 2022, I've had to live in a camper. All of my lighting are battery powered. I'm using propane heat, and I'm not home barely any, and my power bill is $95. So I'm not using anything, so I don't know exactly why it's running so high. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Ned Pillersdorf.
Hi, my name is Ned Pillersdorf. I live in Van Leer, Kentucky, and I've been a poverty lawyer in Prestonsburg for the last 44 years. What the Public Service Commission and these hearings have not taken into account, there's a wonderful program called LIHEAP, stands for Low Income Heating Assistance Program. It was actually adopted during the Reagan years. The budget for that program is $4 billion. It's a wonderful program. The people I'm most worried about are the poverty-stricken in our area. We live in the 5th Congressional District, which is the poorest in the nation. These utility increases will cause harm. The good news is the low-income heating assistance program helps low-income people pay their bills. Has that been factored into any of this? And I think it's interesting, we have a bunch of Republican lawmakers here. The low-income heating assistance program, Senator Maiden, your president, Trump, wants to abolish it. This year, 2025, he wanted 0. Next year, he wants 0. How many poor people will be harmed? Are any of our Republican friends going to get up here and say the truth, that the Trump administration attack on this program, which helps the least among us, is cruel and wrong? Nobody's mentioned the LIHEP program. That program needs to be saved, and the Public Service Commission needs to take into account that we live in the poorest congressional district in the country, and if we lose this program and the Republicans and the Trump administration persist in eliminating this program, giving 0, in fact, they cut the entire staff this year. In April this year, they laid off the entire staff. What are these low-income people going to do without this program? That program needs to be saved, and the Public Service Commission should factor in the fact that that program is under attack. Thank you very much.
Jackie Holbrook.
Commissioners, thank y'all for having us. My name is Jackie Holbrook. I live here in Perry County. During the Obama administration, they shut the coal power plants down. Kentucky Power Company trickled the cost of shutting the coal power plants down to the consumer, which is us, the one that uses the power. Our governor at that time, Steve Beshear, he didn't stand up one time for Kentucky coal. I'm a coal miner. I was in the coal mines for 35 years. Loved every minute of it. Would go back today if I was able. If we allow Kentucky Power Company to have this, to do this increase, I mean, we've got people out here like all of our officials have said, they can't pay their bills. We've got people that is doing without their medication. Their health insurance has skyrocketed. Area insurance, car insurance has skyrocketed. Our children and children's children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, they're leaving this area because they can't afford to live here. So I'm asking you to say no. Thank you.
Tyler Ward.
Thank you, Commissioners, for coming and giving folks an opportunity to speak. And I think that all of the three of you, I'm sure, are here and care about the folks that are speaking. And I'm glad that people are being respectful, because I think that that's important to do in a civilized, democratic society. And this may be a little in the weeds, but it's something that I heard and wasn't sure of and have researched a little bit, but about the notion that unless there's a certain return on investment, that it's a compensable taking under the Fifth Amendment. The U.S. Supreme Court significantly altered the takings analysis in 2005 under Lingle v. Chevron, and I know probably a little bit. I did research for the professor that Justice O'Connor actually sent a hand signed copy. John, thanks for helping us figure this out. And ultimately that altered what some of the cases from the 1800s said about what was a taking under the federal Constitution. So I just want to throw this out there for the lawyers. The Market Street case in 1945, actually, from my understanding, Market Street Railway, actually, the United States Supreme Court actually upheld a regulation that caused a utility, I guess a railroad in that case, to operate at a loss at least for a period of time. And the analysis for whether or not it was property was different than what had been done before. So I just to direct your all's attention at that, and if something requiring a specific amount of profit is a statutory requirement, then these gentlemen right here can fix that. And it's, you know, the reality is everybody has to make a profit, but it doesn't have to be done on the backs of people who are trying to get by. And for me, I was not as aware of this until about 6 weeks ago when the Mountain Association, I still call them MESAD, but we had done a energy upgrade getting LEDs at the church, and based on, they had done an energy audit, and they told us it was going to cost the church an additional $2,200 a year on the electric bills, even after we had done the energy audit. So it's, pardon my French, but it's almost damned if you do and damned if you don't, because if you decrease energy usage, and then they say, well, we still have to pay for the base load. Well, yeah. So I don't envy your position to have to make this decision, but I would hope that to take into account the real people that it affect, and at least look at some of those old doctrines, because there was a major shift in taking jurisprudence in 2005 with Lingle v. Chevron. So thank you.
Several people put maybe. I'm going to skip those for now, and we'll come back to them. The next guest on my list is Sandra Johnson.
First, I want to thank you for allowing us as citizens to provide some input into this very scary situation. I retired from the Hazard Independent School District in 2019. I live here in Hazard. But first of all, I'm a numbers person. So when this first came to my attention, I started doing some research and pulling some numbers. Kentucky Power financial data is embedded in with American Electric Power, the parent company. And it's my understanding that one of the roles of Public Service Commission is to ensure that the profits are not disproportionately in excess of costs. So I did some comparisons. A 9-month comparison from September 24, from January through September of 2024, and that same period, January through September of 25. The revenue of Kentucky Power increased $1,535.7 million from the prior year, same period of time. Their earnings increased $695 million for that same period of time. So they are not suffering financially. If their earnings, and to my understanding, earnings would be revenue after you take away all of your expenses. So they're making more money than they were 1 year ago. We, as citizens of Eastern Kentucky, I also did some research on this. On the USDA's website, they have a comparison of food costs from, and this is a national thing, food cost from August 24 through August of 25. Food you buy and take home and eat at a grocery store increased 2.7% nationally. Food in a restaurant that you eat away from home increased right at 4% nationally. Well, That's nationally. We here in Eastern Kentucky have seen that even higher because, well, we live in what's referred to as a food desert. It costs more to transport our groceries to us, and there's less competition. We have fewer stores and much less competition. You know, people talk about living in cities costing more. But after I retired, I stayed in Louisville for 10 months with my daughter. That was in 2019. When I could buy milk for 99 cents a gallon, and it was right at $4 here, it was cheap, much cheaper there than here. Our costs are so much more. And this doesn't just affect individual families, school districts. I saw the power bills in Hazard Independent Schools when I worked. We have a set amount of money to work with. When more money is going to pay utilities, that takes money away from hiring teachers and providing instructional materials. When the local governments are paying more money to pay electrical costs, that takes money away from our infrastructure, our water improvements, our road systems. And then looking at the families, and I call it the working poor. It's that family that is so proud they're not going to go to the Family Resource Center and ask for help. They are too proud to accept help. But they will tell their kindergarten daughter, I'm sorry, you can't be a cheerleader because we don't have $25 to buy that cheerleading uniform because our electricity bill went up. That's what I'm looking at. So I ask, please vote no on this rate increase because we can't afford any more in this area. The floods have destroyed our roads and our water system. So take this into consideration. AEP, Kentucky Power, they are not suffering, but we are. Thank you so much.
Kevin Smith.
Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kevin Smith. Like many families here, I am deeply concerned about affordability. Electric rates for Kentucky Power customers will have gone up about 40% over the last 5 years. That's roughly twice the rate of inflation. This is just not any type of abstract number. It is real money coming out of household budgets in a part of a state where people are already stretched thin. I understand that utilities have real costs and should recover legitimate expenses. No one here expects Kentucky Power to operate at a loss. I respect the role that this commission has in ensuring safe and reliable service, and I get that rate cases are complicated. But I do think it's important to look at the full picture. Previously, I served as a senior advisor with the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity. I'm not an industry outsider, but someone who understands utilities and energy. At the time, American Electric Power, AEP, was a member organization. AEP, as you know, is the parent company of Kentucky Power. And I recall when Kentucky Power shut down the Big Sandy power plant, which has been truly devastating for this region. Earlier this year, AEP held a quarterly earnings call with investors. I read that transcript. And on that call, AEP's president and CEO, Bill Furman, stated, and I quote, AEP delivered the strongest ever second quarter operating earnings in our 100-year history. He went on to say that improved regulatory outcomes were, I quote, fueling this performance. When I hear that, it raises a common sense question. How can a company be telling investors that it is delivering its strongest earnings in history, driven in part by regulatory success, while at the same time be telling regulators that it needs another 15% rate increase to make ends meet from customers who are already struggling? Both of these can't be true. So I'm asking this commission to do something simple. I'm asking you to take a hard look, scrutinize the numbers, ask the tough questions, and get to the bottom of the truth. Kentucky families shouldn't be asked to pay more than is truly necessary. Folks here in Eastern Kentucky don't expect special treatment, but we do expect fairness. Thank you for your time and for your service to the people of this Commonwealth.
I think this was the commissioner who already spoke, Susan Brotherton. I actually did that one hearing and live to regret it. It got pretty out of hand, so, and it's not fair to everybody else. The next person who put no, or put yes, I'm having a little bit of trouble reading the name. It was right after Stacy Fugit. Whoever signed in right after Stacy. Could be. It looks like it could be Brittany. Yes. Brittany Ellen?
No, Brittany Sloan. Yes. That's a very common name here, as it's been around for about 9 generations now. Ultimately, I'm the last one to occupy these mountains due to rates such as AEP's opposing right now. Actually, both my grandmothers had to relocate to live with their daughters in order to make ends meet. And you know, I'm standing here today on their presence along with my patients as well, because as a first-generation college student, I've had to work my way throughout college. And ultimately within that, I've been a deputy jailer, I've been a CNA, I've been a case manager. And I've seen people struggled at the hands of AP at each and every role. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the term a forced sanction, but I'm sure that we all are familiar with the Indian Removal Act, Jim Crow and the Great Migration, and the Japanese internment camps. And I feel as if AEP is placing a rate on our residents to the point they have no option but to relocate. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Tiffany Miller. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped Bill Wesley. Representative Wesley? I'll ask again. Maybe he just stepped out. Tiffany Miller?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Miller. I'm from Buckhorn, Kentucky. I live in Holler. I know y'all can't answer questions, and I know my representatives can't answer questions, but I just wanted you all to think about these questions that I'm asking. What does the power company do with the money that they already have? They did a rate increase last year, and with their profit margin of $36 million, what do they do with that? Do they help us? Do they fund the LIHEAP? Do they do anything else in our communities? I know they buy Christmas presents for one school a year or something, but I mean, that doesn't constitute $36 million. Why do we in Eastern Kentucky have the highest rates in the country, not just the state? I have friends all over the country, and I have talked to them about their power bills. I mean, in Atlanta, in a 5-bedroom home with a family of 5, their electric bill is $100. I've never seen a $100 electric bill in my life. Everybody is strapped for cash as it is because everything has gone up, not just that. What's our senator and our representatives, what's the plan to help us with this? Have you guys thought, if this goes into effect, what are you going to do? They also say that more people are leaving, and why do you think they're leaving? It's because they can't afford to live here. I mean, we all love the mountains. That's why we're here. Our small businesses are suffering enough. Representatives, are you all trying to look for tax incentives to help them offset these costs if that goes into effect? It wouldn't be so much if we had a $100 electric bill, the $14 or $15, or, I mean, even that. But sometimes here, our electric bills are hundreds and hundreds of dollars, or even $1,000 if you live in a double wide. And I mean, that 27% or the 14% and the $27, I mean, that doesn't really add up if you go that far. How are our people on fixed incomes going to live? Also, why don't we have competition here? Because you guys are the Public Service Commission. You do that. We're a monopoly. I mean, KU's in Lexington. We here have Kentucky Power, AEP. Why is there not competition? There's competition for everything else. Why not our electricity? Also, on the slide on intervening parties, why are those parties not giving the regular people like us the option or affordability of solar panels? Why do we not have access to alternative energies? To reiterate Judge Alexander and Representative Fugit, what happened to the coal to liquid fuel technologies that we were developing in eastern Kentucky? What happened to those? Where did they go? Are they just sitting empty? I mean, just to say if this rate increase goes in, it hurts everyone, not just one person. Thank you.
Chad Allen.
So my name is Chad Allen. I live here in Hazard. I've got a lot of questions I want to ask, and I know I'm not going to get any answers, but I'm sure that the majority of people in this audience will be able to answer them for themselves. I heard a saying one time that says, if you want something messed up, give it to the government. And that's where we're at. The gentleman mentioned low-income energy cost. I think he may have a touch of TDS because the left-wing radical Democratic Party is what's put us here with the Green New scam. We had access to power. I worked a couple of years in the coal mines, and I can comfortably say that majority of people in this room are either directly or indirectly affected through their families through coal mining. We built Lexington. We built Louisville. And the minute we needed help and the coal severance tax couldn't go get them fatter in central Kentucky, then they dropped us. And they tore our power plant down. Now they want to come up with another scam about solar panels that's supposedly going to go up here on a strip job, that we all know that that money is going to go to people in central Kentucky. It's not going to help us. It'll be shipped out of here and it'll be sold back to us. So I'm going to concentrate on AEP. A few questions I have. Ms. Hatton, you're excluded from this because I know your answer. How many on this commission are from here? Who appoints you? We know the governor that does. So I wonder, what does it take to be appointed to this commission by the governor? I read an article that AEP profited $2.97 billion in 2024. I honestly don't know how they can survive. Chris, maybe we can go down to church, put some food baskets together for them, try to help them. That's what we do. We don't want handouts, contrary to what people in central Kentucky think. We just don't want to be taken advantage of. They are running our people out. They claim that they need to raise power rates because they don't have enough usage. Well, they promote programs to help you lower your energy cost. Come into your house, put a fan in your door, tell you where the leaks are in the windows and the doors. And then they say they don't sell enough energy. We know they're not going to get 15%. You know that, and everybody in the room knows that. It's horse trading. They asked for 15, come back, and it's supposed to be an olive branch that's saying, we stood up for you, we're not going to give you 15, we're going to give you 4. If you look up AEP in the dictionary, there's some words that won't be next to it, and that'll be ethics and morals. It's called greed. How much money does one person or one company have to have? I'm going to close with two things. My father always told me the right decision may not be the popular one. But in this case, the right decision is the popular one. And the only one it affects is the greed of AEP. The closest definition I can give you to AEP was a book titled The Tale of Two Cities, where Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake." And that's what they're saying to us. Let them eat cake. Thank you for your time.
Did Mr. Wesley come back in since I skipped him? Do you want to speak, Mr. Wesley?
Good evening. Thank you for this time of allowing us to come speak. I don't live in this area, but I do live in Estill. I'm from Pikeville area, and so I just wanted to come and show my support for all my people and all my family up here. That I think that what's happening here is injustice to the people up here that's been through so much. And so I wanted to speak on behalf of all those that, excuse me, that are from this area and say that we're in support of you. We're trying to fight for our people. Thank you very much for your time.
Logan Campbell. Crystal Neese.
Hello, my name is Crystal Neese. I was born and raised here in Hazard, Kentucky. I was raised up in Laurel Fork. Y'all know where it's at, up in Yerkes. So y'all know I had a pretty rough raising. And sorry about my vulgar sign I brought. I know, I apologize to you guys for that. I just feel like I needed to make a point because what Kentucky Power is doing to all of us, that's vulgar. Single moms who have to put their kids' names on angel trees and hope for the best. And that's all the Christmas that their kids are ever going to get. That's what's vulgar. I'm sorry. Elderly who lives off of $967 per month, getting a electric bill that is over $500, $600, $700 for 1 month in a single wide trailer. That's vulgar. I think I speak for everybody in this room, everybody in this county, when I say, and I'm sorry to say it, but fuck Kentucky Power. And that's all I got to say.
We're not going to have any more vulgarity. That's the final warning for that. The next person on the list who indicated they did want to speak, and again, we'll come all the way back through in case anybody's checked the wrong box, is Tawny Acker.
Thank you for giving this opportunity to speak. I'm the Executive Director of LKLP Community Action Council that covers Leslie, Knott, Letcher, and Perry counties. I'm here speaking, our main office is here in Hazard. I'm here speaking as an advocate for many of our clients who are not able to speak for themselves. As was mentioned, many of our clients who are from these counties, we know that we are in a distressed ARC counties, and that we have a disability rate of about 30%, averaging in those counties, and we have a poverty rate of nearly 25 to 20% in most counties. This impacts all of our citizens, and $25 or $27 does make a difference. Many of our clients receive only $967 a month, and that is an SSI check. They simply can't afford the electric bills they have now, nor can they afford an increase. And for those of our clients that both draw SSI and Social Security, that amount is raised to $987 a month. Now, I would also like to say that we do operate LIHEAP, Low Income Heating Assistance Program, and it is a blessing to those that qualify and can receive assistance. During LIHEAP, I'm going to use the figures from last year that gives a complete year. From October 1, 224 to September 30th and 225, LKLP processed 13,320 applications and spent $2,778,414.69 in order to help with payments. For many of you who don't know how LIHEAP works, I want to encourage everyone in the community to see if they qualify to contact one of our outreach offices. But during LIHEAP subsidy, which just ended and is in the fall, a family who does qualify, or the max one person can receive, is only $250 on their heating bill. And that is for one time during that fall subsidy program. The Winter Crisis Program, which starts in January, is dependent for a disconnect amount, and the max amount a household can receive is $400. Now, Crisis does work on a revolving, and there is more opportunity. So while this is a blessing, it's not the answer to all the problems that we have. It certainly can help, and I want to encourage everyone to check on it. I also want to say that it's not uncommon for us to see electric bills in all 4 counties that are between $600 and $800 a month. A lot of that is based on our housing stock, which is substandard in many cases, and I know that all of our community partners are working together to address those situations, but that is part of the issue. Another part of the issue is so many homes were damaged during the flood. All of these things impact our clients, our businesses, our ability for our communities to thrive, and I think it's critical that we look at what is fair, just, and reasonable, and how it's going to impact our ability as agencies to work together to help people move towards self-sufficiency or maintain self-sufficiency and the ability to live in their own homes, not to exit the area. I'd like to say that Kentucky Power has been and is a good community partner in many ways. They do provide services that we appreciate working with them in the community. However, this rate increase has a much more negative impact on our whole client base, those working poor that we've talked about, not just the very poor whose income limits I talked about, but the working poor who can't afford another $28, $27 on top of an incredibly high bill. I'd like you to take that into consideration and know that as community partners, we all work together to try to do the best we can. But please be an advocate for those who can't speak for themselves at tonight's hearing, knowing that this does make a negative impact in all the areas that we are working to address and help our clients with. And I would say this, I'm a resident of Letcher County. I lived in Knott County until the flood. I live here in Hazard now. I've been a native all my life, and I've seen the suffering that can happen from all of these impacts. And I appreciate you looking carefully and making a choice that will help all of our communities and citizens. Thank you.
Is Scott McReynolds here? There you are.
I'm Scott I'm Scott McReynolds. I'm the Executive Director of the Housing Development Alliance, and I live in Krypton, Kentucky. I want to start by sharing a couple of statistics. So since 2020, wages nationwide are up 22 to 26%. If you live on Social Security, that's up just under 20%. Inflation overall has been at 25%. Kentucky Power rates have already gone up 40%, and if this rate hike is approved, that'll push it up to close to 60%. One of those numbers doesn't fit with the others. We are deeply concerned about how this is going to impact low-income families and working families. Somewhere around 42% of our population live on less than $25,000 a year. These folks often have the highest electric bills and therefore will be hit the hardest. We understand it's a tough market. It's mountainous terrain. We have floods, we have windstorms, we have ice storms. We understand, the market dynamics of diminished demand, but at the same time, at some point, it becomes unsustainable. People just simply cannot afford what would essentially be a 60% power increase over 5 years. Beyond that, I am also concerned about the tiered base rate and the declining block rate, which hasn't gotten a lot of attention. My understanding is that rate, that mechanism is in some ways intended to help those low-income people that have really high electric bills by charging them less money on the highest, but the more they use. And let me rephrase that, and charging them less of an increase on the more they use. And I appreciate this attempt to help out citizens who use a lot of energy. The challenge with that, I think, is that is not a targeted program. So while it may help that person living in the single wide trailer and their electric bill may only go up $50 or $60 a month, it's also going to help people who live in very big houses and use lots of electricity. It's also going to help people who have pools and jacuzzis and use lots of electricity. At the same time that that's going on, it's going to hurt low-income and working families who have invested in their house and have a lower usage. If your electric bill's about $100 a month, if this tiered and declining block rate goes into effect, you're actually going to see a $28 increase on that bill. If your electric bill is about $175 a month, you're actually going to see a 17% increase. I think I speak for most of us in the room who are doing okay, don't mind at all paying a little extra to help our neighbors who are hurting. But let's do it in a way that is targeted and actually gets to low-income consumers, not anybody who uses lots of electricity. Thank you.
April Hensley.
Hello, my name is April Hensley. I live in Lost Creek, Kentucky, just a few miles up the road. Like every word that could be said has been said, I think, opposing this rate increase. And I would just like to reiterate that Kentucky Power and its owner have had multi-million-dollar profits, and then they're asking again for another rate increase. We have been hit time after time after time with subsidies and rate increases, and we just cannot keep going. So I ask you to please just say no. Thank you.
And Jennifer Linden. Dr. Linden.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I appreciate that. And yes, my name is Jennifer Linden, and I am the president of the local community college here in Hazard and Perry County, and I have lived in Appalachia all my life. I'm a very proud Appalachian. And the college, we have a working relationship with Kentucky Power. They are good community partners. They work with us on local advisory boards. They work with us on the curriculum for our lineman training program, and they work with us to provide equipment for the program. And I know that they do provide good paying jobs for the folks that we train out and our graduates that they employ. So I do appreciate that and their efforts. I do have concerns about how these rate increases will affect our students. Many of our students have families. Many of them are single parents, and they are struggling. They're struggling to put food on the table. They're struggling to afford gas to put in their car to get to school. We do work with many of them on their electricity bills that they are already having trouble paying, and we do send many to the LIHEAP program. And like Ms. Acker said, there is a limit on what that program can assist with. So we still have students who struggle and are not able to pay their full bills. We do have a student emergency fund at the college, and that's one thing that we were working on this week, were students that had applied for some emergency funds because they couldn't get enough assistance to help. And I do fear that there could be an indirect effect on educational attainment rates, which we already struggle with here in Eastern Kentucky, because it is all a trickle-down effect. So if students are having to make hard choices, then they might not be able to continue to attend college. So I do have concerns for our students. And I do have concerns for the small business owners here in the local area. I know that many of them, particularly in Hazard and Perry County, are still struggling to get on their feet from the February 2025 floods. That really wreaked havoc on a number of businesses. And also it affects economic development. You've already heard that. And I do worry about the fact that we used to be able to boast about our low electricity rates here in the area to bring industry in. We already know it's a tough market out there to get businesses to look at Eastern Kentucky. And when we have even higher rates than many others in the country, it just makes things more difficult for us when we're already working so hard to get back on our feet and improve Eastern Kentucky. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. John Newell? Okay, gotcha. Merle Cottle?
My name is Merle Cottle. I'm a retired minister, served many years in Leslie County. Also retired, worked in the coal industry and retired from EQT, Oil and Gas Company. I'm the type of person, like Mrs. Johnson said, numbers mean a whole lot to me. But I'm not an accountant or a financial analyst, just simple numbers. So what I did, I put together a spreadsheet of comparisons with our adjoining RECCs to Kentucky Power, Big Sandy, Licking Valley, and Cumberland Valley. I'll make one caveat as I start. I know that Cumberland Valley charges the same rate to schools and churches as the residential rate. Kentucky Power does not do that. They charge commercial rates to both schools and churches. And I'm just going to give you some quick numbers. This spreadsheet, the supporting bills are already on your all's site. So if you've got any questions about what I represent, I will say this, I'll put this caveat in. You can't really compare bill to bill because, you know, there's higher prices for LED lights or flood lights and that kind of thing. But what I tried to do is compare usage by tariff or by designation as large general service or whatever. Just to give you some quick, and I'll try to do this quickly. Kentucky Power between schools in Licking Valley is 60% higher than Licking Valley Electric. compare schools to Cumberland Valley Electric, 51% higher. Residential between Kentucky Power and Licking Valley is 32% higher. Kentucky Power and Cumberland Valley Rural Electric is, and I'm having a hard time reading, I had my eyes dilated today, so it's 50-some%. Kentucky Power and Clark Energy, which you know covers the area of Winchester, is 50% higher. Kentucky Power on the commercial side is 70% higher. Kentucky Power compared to Big Sandy for commercial accounts is 80% higher in one instance, 70 in the other, 78 I believe it was. So you can see that there's huge discrepancies or disadvantages to us as Kentucky Power customers already in comparison to the rural electric cooperatives. And we understand that's a nonprofit business. My question is to the legislature, to the Public Service Commission, to the Attorney General's office, why are we disadvantaged? Why can't we be under our own destiny as their customers are? And I know you've talked about takings. I had a 6th grade teacher that told me can't never could do anything. And I personally feel like there's probably a lot of residential customers here this evening, a lot of customers of Kentucky Power that would much prefer that they had the same situation as these other rural electric cooperatives, where if there was a huge profit made, it'd be split up with us at the end of the year. We'd much prefer to be under that situation. Now, I know there's probably all kinds of hoops to jump through to make something like that happen. But you know, you've talked about fairness. And those numbers that I've represented to you don't seem very fair to me, that in every aspect, every category of their service, residential, commercial, large commercial. Of course, I didn't have any industrial accounts to make comparisons with, and that ought to tell us something else too. I'm sure they're out there, but they're not. There's none in Letcher County, where I'm from, that I would consider industrial accounts. So my point to you as the Public Service Commission is just take that into consideration. Fair, just, and reasonable. Now, I'm one of those persons that just looks at statistics all the time. AEP paid their stockholders $2.04 billion in this year. That's what they'll pay. And as somebody said here before, it's the best year that they've ever had, record year. So if you've got $80,000 or $100,000 to invest, you don't have to worry about a power bill. Just tell them, just take that out of my dividends if you would. But how many of us can afford to do that? Thank you for your time.
Representative Whitaker.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for coming down here to Hazard to hear from us. I'm here to speak for myself. I pay the same power bills that everybody else here pays, but I'm also speaking for the 45,000 constituents I represent in Letcher, Pike, and Harlan counties. Many of them are here today, and I'm very grateful for those of you that made the trip here. I'm extraordinarily grateful to hear from you. But there's many that couldn't make it because they can't afford the gas to get here, even to get to the free bus that was offered to get people here. So I want to speak on their behalf today. There's a lot I could say, but a lot of it's been said. There's a lot of tragic stories about people going without their electricity because they can't pay the bill. I personally have family members who have sat in the dark waiting until their check comes in before they can pay the power bill and get the lights turned back on. But I've been in office for almost a year now, and perhaps the most ridiculous thing I've come across is the way that these negotiations play out. They're currently asking for 14.9%. They might as well ask for 1,000% because we can't pay it, but they're asking for 14.9%. it'll get settled for much less. We all know how this goes. Electricity is a necessity. It's not a used car. We shouldn't be negotiating like we're negotiating over a 1998 Toyota Camry. This is important. I wish they would come to us with what they want, what they need, nothing more. But that's not the way things are done, apparently, with Kentucky Power. Our lives and our livelihoods aren't up for negotiation and never will be. The last thing I want to say is this commission, of course, has a responsibility to look at what is reasonable and what's fair. 14.9% on its face is not fair to anyone in Eastern Kentucky. Thanks again for coming, and thank you to my constituents who made it here.
Rick Dameron.
A little bit shorter here. Hi, my name is Rick Dameron. First, I want to thank the governor for appointing Angie for the first commissioner from Eastern Kentucky. I'm a retired coal miner, but like Peyton Manning, I'm much more than a retired coal miner. I'm also a Jenkins City Councilman, and I'm an electrical engineer with 45 years of power line construction background and distribution. So one question is, how many commissioners have that kind of experience? Don't answer that. The other thing, a lot of these numbers that I've looked up are agreeing with everybody else's numbers, that power company is raising the rates faster than inflation. In January of 2014, the rates was 8.59 cents per kilowatt hour. Okay, 21, that's the next tariff I could find. It was 10.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That's 7% above inflation. Now we expect them to meet inflation, but that one was 7% above. The current rates are 12.785 cents per kilowatt hour, which is 9% above inflation. And the rates they're asking for, 16.25 cents per kilowatt hour at the highest tier rate. But someone mentioned the tiers. I disagree with that as well, because, like he said, it's going to hurt everybody. It looks like on paper like it's a big thing, but it's not going to help. So do away with the tier for sure. The other thing, that rate is 36% above the rate of inflation since 2014 when I based this. One thing to say, other people have said that businesses have been looking at this area, and when they look at the power rates, a lot of them say, no, I will go somewhere else. I personally have dealt in depth with tariffs and everything with 3 different utilities. Kentucky Power is one of them. The Kentucky Utilities is one of them. And then Old Dominion Power. I've dealt with all of them. By far, Kentucky Power had the highest rates of all of them. Okay. And I don't think AEP has done everything it can to keep the rates low and to make their expenses. Until they do that, I don't think they should deserve a raise at all. Okay. And I know how, like everybody else has said, these negotiations are behind closed doors, and they say, well, we're going to ask for 16%. We're going to get 8 maybe, and we'll feel good about it. But, I mean, they're going to say this. What can they do? All they can say is no. So do that. Say no. Somebody mentioned solar. I've installed solar panels. And I can tell you this, when the real money is paid for it, not government grants and assistance to put solar panels in, they were not ready in 2008 when they shut the plant down to be profitable. They're just about getting there now, but the only reason is because the rates are so high. Then it makes it look so much better. And that was the goal of that administration, is to shut down coal, shut down power plants, raise the rates of the power so that solar and wind would look more affordable. It's really not, because we're still paying for it. And the riders. Most people don't know that we paid for a decision that was made by AEP executives, not Kentucky Power workers, as they said. Those guys are good people. The AEP executives decided to shut down a perfectly good coal plant in lieu of just upgrading it for a lot less than it would cost to build a new plant. But that's already been done. We can't undo that. It's been shut down, torn down. So they had governmental pressures to try to save the planet. Now we've shut down a lot of our coal plants, 40-some thousand coal miners out of work. And is the planet any safer now than it was in 2008? I don't think so. A lot of people said some of the things I was going to say. So we had a plant in our industrial park in Jenkins that came to Jenkins and employed 42 people. I've still got a minute left on mine. Employed 42 people in 2008 or 2012. They came to Jenkins because of low power rates. Well, they left because in 2017 the rates went up. And that's one of the reasons. They had other reasons, but that's one of the reasons. And before I leave with this, people keep talking about the power company, making a profit. Who are they? Anybody know who the power company is? Who this profit's going to? So it's on their website. There's 1,765 shareholders. And a bunch of them are from South Korea, Canada, Bank of Nova Scotia, Switzerland, Spain, Denmark, and there's one billionaire, Bobby Jane hedge fund. Morningstar Investments, who's been investigated for wrongdoings himself. California Public Utilities Retirement System. The Republic Employees Retirement System of Ohio. Utah Retirement System. New Mexico Educational Retirement Fund. Why should people in Kentucky pay for people out of state and out of the country to get their retirement when we can't even pay our power bills? That's all I got to say.
Suzanne Griffith.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Griffith. I'm actually from Ashland, Kentucky. I was at the Pikeville committee meeting too because I think this is such an important issue. Two things before I begin. On September 15th, I had a meeting per her request with Cynthia Wiseman, COO of Kentucky Power. And although we view this issue very differently, we both agree that economic development is needed to help better address the cost of energy in our region. As a retired teacher of 38 years, I understand the importance of economic security in the home. It matters. Kentucky Power has continuously used loss of power and loss of industry as reasons to raise rates compared to their fixed cost. I'm not an actuary, but I can assure you the math does not work in ratepayers' favor when these two reasons are used. Both the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville projections show significant population loss in eastern Kentucky through 2050. In the struggle for fair rates, Kentucky Power needs to adjust its business model to be in line with population models. Keep in mind, families, small business, and industries have fixed costs as well and have to stay within budget. First, when it comes to residential rates in the high poverty region we live in, we already pay the highest average bill in the state, and our energy burdens across the region are twice to 5 times more than average. High to severe energy burdens leave ratepayers choosing necessities like food, medicine, rent, or paying the electric bill. Adding further financial strain through excessive rate hikes is ethically indefensible, especially against a backdrop of declining population and industry made worse by Kentucky Power's own decisions. Second, like residential rates, Kentucky Power's commercial rates rank among the highest in the state. High energy costs put a strain on our valued and appreciated small business that are truly the heartbeat of Eastern Kentucky. Needless to say, this is no way to keep and attract businesses. Third, Kentucky Power has lost 38% of its industrial sales since 2010. We definitely felt the gut punch of that reality in my home county of Boyd when AK and the Coke plant closed. Of course, when Kentucky Power made the corporate decision, and it was a corporate decision, to pull out of Louisa and invest billions, think about that, people, billions of Eastern Kentucky energy dollars in the coal-burning Mitchell plant in West Virginia, which employs no Kentucky residents, burns West Virginia coal, and you need to remember that, and pays no Kentucky taxes, the situation was made worse. Obviously, this helped to perpetuate the loss of population and industry, the very two reasons they give to continually raise rates. Rocky Atkins, one of the greatest people that's ever come from Eastern Kentucky, warned the PSC in 2012 that 500 coal mining jobs, 150 power jobs, and thousands of other jobs would be lost with the closing of the Big Sandy 2, in addition to lost electrical load used by coal mines, and he was right. You all should have listened. Kentucky Power has referred to itself as a leader in economic development in our region. While I do appreciate some of their initiatives as directed to do so by the PSC, a true leader would have never shut down Big Sandy 2 in favor of the Mitchell plant, or would put the service region in a worse off position to attract new industries and businesses due to high rates. Kentucky Power should absolutely be ashamed. In 2024, the Kentucky PSC found the 18.3 proposed rate impact to residential customers to be excessive and disturbing. When dropping that amount to 5.666, let's remember in February 12, 2025, the Kentucky COO, Cynthia Wiseman, said to the senators in Frankfort, ultimately what we would like for you to take away from this meeting is that our priorities are the same as yours: stabilize and lower rates to reduce rate volatility. Once again, I ask the Kentucky PSC to help Ms. Wiseman with her stated priority for Kentucky Power of lowering rates and completely deny these unjust, unreasonable, and devastating rate hikes. Now also, because I'm a teacher, I have some homework for you, because we have to find us a solution, and for you guys too. One East Kentucky has out a great plan, and we need to look at that in depth. This will help with economic development. I'm telling you all right now, that's the only way we're going to get out of this. And I need for you all to look at this plan, which has the most excellent ideas, if they will just come off the page and be put into service. Thank you all.
Okay, and if you have handouts, just make sure you've given them to our staff. Okay. Trey Zimmerman.
Good evening, folks. I've been in the coal business for about 40 years, and I've had the unfortunate experience of dealing with American Electric Power from the top down, and they are the most egregious group of people as regards to their profits and how they want to derive them that I have ever seen. The problem is, this is what I learned about the coal business. When you're dealing with utilities, I don't care who it is, except for the ones over at East, Kentucky Power, Kentucky Utilities and others, we get treated fairly. The people in Lancaster do not treat any of their people fairly, except the people on the ground floor. Now, the people that do the job for us are some of the most fantastic people that I've ever met. But the people there that run those companies are some of the worst. Now, I know them personally. I dealt with the president of Kentucky Power when they tore the plant down. I dealt with him in the respect of building a power plant. I can build a power plant right now over at the industrial park that would take a whole bunch of things off of here. Because as this lady over here is talking about, we've got to get an economic plan. And we can't count on Kentucky Power or American Power to provide it for us. And they promised us when they tore that plant down that they were going to do that they were going to bring in utility or industries to these industrial parks and do it. And Brandon knows what I'm talking about because he was with me. Now, here's something that is very interesting that I found out. When they tore the plant down, there was supposed to be, by law, an economic assessment done on what it would do to Eastern Kentucky, and it never happened. What do you all think about that? They didn't follow the law. Now, these people have pointed out clearly the salaries, I tell you what, the salary garbage that came up on here reminded me of Kamala Harris. Can't we get any straight answers from about anything without having it political? Because this all goes back to 2008. Sad, sad, because then the war on coal commenced. When they tore that plant down, that destroyed this country. I came into this country in 1977, April 10th. There was a flood raging down the middle of Hazard. It was unbelievable. I'm looking at this because I had decided I wanted to get in the coal business, and I loved it. I'm originally from Ohio. I never go back there anymore. Why? Coal dust in my veins. You can't get away from it. I come down this road here and I see Perry County, exit 51, I'm home. Same thing when I'm coming down from Jackson, I'm home. I love the mountains. These people here are the hardest working bunch of people, and they're the smartest bunch of people I've ever been around. And I have a master's degree. It is sad what the political decision was made to destroy Eastern Kentucky. Don't understand it. But there is a plan out there, and God is going to give it to us.
Denny Noble.
Okay, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. I'm the former county judge of Perry County, and I'm going to tell you what happened to me. Now, I'm here for the people of all the counties around. I'm not here for myself. I'm here to represent these people. In September, my electric bill was $195. In November, it was $485. This month, it was $601. Now, I live by myself. I don't have anybody coming around my house. I've got a furnace outside of my home that heats water, that heats my home, heats my water. And there's no reason for my bills to go up like that. No reason at all. If you call, you get a recorder. You don't get any help. I think it's ridiculous what the power company's doing. to this region. I don't know if they're trying to run people away or what they're doing. But I'm asking you all to step in and turn them down for this raise. Tonight when you go to bed, well, I do every night, I think about these poor people that can't pay their electric bill. Are they staying warm? Are they freezing to death? And I know a lot that's doing that. I'm concerned about the people of Eastern Kentucky. And hopefully tonight when you lay down, you think about that too. And thank you for coming.
Virginia Holland.
Hello, my name is Virginia Holland. Tear it up here. And I'm from Letcher County. I know Angie, and I just want to say that I'm retired now as a CNA, but being retired, I'm still going into homes. My son is going on his days off and cutting wood for elderly people that is on a fixed income, and that their electric bills with coal heat, with wood, is still over half of their monthly income. I've took food out of my home and took to people. I just don't understand. It's even veterans. I don't understand why that we have to worry about another increase. If anything, they should be giving back to us. I'm 5 generations of coal mining. My daddy retired as a coal miner. My papa did. Coal is answer for here. But right now, we've got people that can't pay their electric bill. They leave medicine out, and they struggle to feed themselves. And at the end of the day, when I lay down and go to sleep, I know that I've done my best to help anybody that I can. And I would hope that tonight, tomorrow night, when you all lay down, that you think about these people. I can't make their names because they're proud people. And it takes a lot for an elderly person to call and say, Virginia, can your son come and cut me some wood because I'm probably going to have my power bill cut off. I volunteered my husband and my son and even my daughters to help. It's just like when the flood happened. We walked, we took the side by side, we took food and water to people, to a girl that had a little baby and another one on the way. And, you know, that's another example. My daughter just started being a nurse practitioner. She's bought her first home. She's owned it for 3 weeks. When she got the power bill for this new home that we've had the lights on one time, we have renovations we have to do, it's not been lived in at all. 3 weeks power bill was over $500. Her trailer power bill, which she don't do nothing but sleep there because she's at work and at my house helping me help these elderly people, it was over $300. And she said, Mom, she said, how can I pay a power bill on 2 places and can't even afford to live because I've got a student loan too. She pays $920 a month student loan. And she worked full time through her whole career, from being a medical assistant, going to an RN, and now a nurse practitioner. She specializes with children, and she's one of the few in this area that can assess them and treat them. And she's talking about selling this new house and leaving. She's pregnant, she's a single mom, and her decision to stay here was so that we could help her with the baby. And she's looking at having to relocate. But when she called the power company, they said, oh, we estimated your bill. And you know, I've sat here tonight and I've wondered, how many elderly people did they estimate their bill that doesn't understand? And just like that man said, you can't even get a hold of them. It took Hannah 2 days calling. She took off from work a half a day to get a hold of them, and they're going to come out and read her meter and give her an actual bill, which we know it should be lower because she's owned this house for 3 weeks and she's not lived in it. We've had the lights on one time to go through and measure the floors. It's sad, but you know, these mountain people, I'm proud to be one. I'm proud to be a coal miner. I'm proud that my husband retired as a coal miner. We're both on fixed incomes, but we're blessed. My home's paid for. Both my trucks are paid for. So all I have to worry about is paying my electric bill, my trash bill, my water bill, and my food. But there's so many people in the area we live that ain't blessed like that. And it's just like my daughter. She's young. She's worked her ass off, excuse my language. And it's bullshit. And she was smart enough to call and say, there ain't no way that my power bill can be $500 when I've just owned this house 3 weeks. So I pray tonight that you all do the right thing. And Angie, I hope that you say no to this because you're from Letcher County and you know what our people is facing and how they struggle. And you helped me to get my unemployment. And I hope that you help these people. I really do. Thank you, guys.
All right, Gwen Johnson.
I thank y'all for hearing us out tonight and appreciate y'all being here. But I just want to say, you know, I wrote it down. What is fair? What is just? And what is reasonable about another increase? You know, this is not the first time I've stood. I've stood in front of other public service commission hearings about this, and it seems like we can push it down a few points and it comes right back up. And I'm hearing that there's yet another application going to go in after this one, and I'm sure they will, because they went in and went in and went in, and it just keeps driving it up, and our people are out of work. And it seems to me, as has been said here tonight, that there are forces in this country that want us out of these mountains. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I have to live without electricity, I'll do it, because I ain't going. And our people have been resilient and went through hell the last few years. And I want to ask y'all, when y'all lay down tonight, just as has been said, I hope God puts it on your heart that you cannot vote yes for this. You've got to say no. Angie, you've got to say no for us. I know you can't answer me, but I'm going to tell you something. My family's 8 generations deep right here in these mountains. We've been here a long time. My mama used to tell a story about coming across the mountain with her family when she was 10 years old. My papa was coming to work in the coal mines. My mommy's been gone about 3 years, and she would tell me that they was coming to the promised land. They was coming to where there was electric lights and running water in houses. Now, coming from to the promised land for her, she lost 3 of her brothers in mining accidents, and then my little brother was killed in a mining accident. So we've had bloodshed, and a lot of bloodshed and a lot of tears in these hills, but we have stood firm, and we are coal mining people. All the boys in my family that can mine still yet are mining coal outside of Letcher County. They're leaving Letcher County every day and going to work and coming back, but they're struggling to pay their bills. Our community center in our community has 70-some solar panels on top of it. And last month, when we paid the power bill, it was still $900. Because it's an old coal camp school, and we've tried the best we can to renovate it and keep it going, but it renders a lot of service to a lot of people, and we struggle to keep the utilities paid. Back when we got those solar panels, it was about 2017, and these increases were coming. And it seemed to me like they were coming at an alarming rate. And we decided we'd get those solar panels on top of there. So we went to the boys that were out of work and talked to them. What would y'all think? You know, these are coal miners who are laid off. What would y'all think if we got solar panels on top of the community center? And without fail, every one of them said something like this: well, honey, the gravy train has rolled out, and it looks like it's not coming back. And if I could get them things on my house, I would, because I'm struggling to pay my bills. And if y'all can get them, you need to get them. And so we did. We invested in them. And we've been paying a payment every month. We didn't get subsidized. Them first panels we got 30-some. We've paid for them. We're making payments on them right now. And they have helped us. But we're still struggling in that $900 that we paid this month. And I know that's a small amount, but we got a lot of solar panels on top of there. But we're still struggling, and that's money that could go to the kids. That's money that could go to the elderly. And we worry about the people in our area that are struggling, just like has been said a lot of times here tonight, with medicine and food and everything else. And I know I'm a big crybaby, and I'm sorry for crying on y'all. But y'all got to say no. And you got to keep on saying no. Thank you.
John Hall. John Hall. Benjamin Hurley.
First, I want to say that it's an honor to be speaking with you all today with the residents of Perry County and the Public Service Commission. First, I want to say that my background, in 2019, I joined the Army. And in those 6 years, I traveled a lot. I've traveled to many different states and had different services through different power companies. And on average, I'd say that my power bill was roughly around $100, $150. Coming back to Eastern Kentucky, having an electric bill through Kentucky Power Company, my bills are around $200, $250, and I just don't think that is justifiable. That's very moderate for me, but other people have $500, $800 electric bills. I'm just lucky. But I want to talk more about how the Kentucky Power Company justifies their rate increase for shrinking customer base. They believe that Eastern Kentuckians, since they are moving away, the people that stay here, they need to cover that cost. They need to just suck it up and pay a little extra because they're not making enough money. I just don't think that's right. If your neighbor moves away, you shouldn't have to pay more, realistically. I think that's a terrible business model. They also want to say that the infrastructure reliability and service investments. So what that means is upgrading and hardening the grid to improve reliability against severe weather, right? So that sounds pretty good, right? Shouldn't be us paying for it, though. It should be them. AEP, their parent company, should cover these costs to improve the infrastructure. They also say vegetation management with modern equipment. What's wrong with the equipment that we have currently? I have no clue. From what I've seen on it, the current equipment that they have is more than suffices the job to cover vegetation management. And lastly, extending the life of existing plants and planting future generation resources. They've been saying these things for years. They want to extend the life of certain plants, for example, the Mitchell plant that's been mentioned here tonight, and they want the consumers to pay for it. Another terrible business model. So another thing that I want to link to this is case number 2021-00370. Why is this important? This case covers if Kentucky Power Company can provide adequate service and facilities to its consumer base. I honestly don't think they can. After traveling through the United States and having different power companies in their service, I can tell you right now, Kentucky Power Company is the worst one that I've ever had. And another thing that I want to remind people here tonight is that this isn't a Republican or a Democrat issue, because we can point fingers both ways. All right? This is more of an Eastern Kentucky issue, and we need a true solution, so we need to come together on it. Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of my yeses. I've got a number of maybes, and I know I had 2 senators that were waiting until the end. Do you want to wait till after the maybes? You don't? Okay. You're a maybe. All right. Okay. How about if you didn't check yes, but you want to speak, just make your way to the microphone. And we'll just try to do that in an orderly way. But if anybody else still wants to speak and you didn't check yes, you changed your mind, or you've thought of something you wanted to say, we'll let Senator Maiden go while people are deciding.
I'll be glad to wait, though, if anybody wants to go. Thank you. Thank you, Angie. I want to make it perfectly clear I am here tonight for one reason, that is to advocate for my constituents. I'm the senator in Senate District 29, Bell, Harlan, Letcher, Naughton, Floyd County. Before I start and talk about what I was going to, I'd be remiss if I didn't address Mr. Pillardolph's attack on the LIHEAP program. Senator Smith, who chairs the Natural Resource Committee, Representative Fugit, and myself approved $54.5 million during the summer in an interim joint committee. The fear-mongering and the attack on people and trying to scare them has got to stop. As this gentleman just said, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. We all got to have heat. We all got to have air conditioning. Stand up here and politic. This is about electrical rates. This isn't a place to come in here and politic. It's time for it to stop, folks. Quit scaring people. Let's get together and figure out a problem. That man right there, he was almost in tears when the Public Service Commission come before Natural Resources. He was pouring out his soul. Tom O'Dell Smith pouring out his soul to talk about bringing coal back. Is that right, Representative Fugit? He was very sincere. I passed Senate Bill 89 last session. Had no idea when I went to Frankfurt I was going to be carrying one of the most controversial bills of the session. Had no idea. You know what that bill did? It was the first step in getting government off our coal companies' backs. And every one of these Republican legislators in here voted for it. Not a single Democrat voted for it. I heard somebody say a while ago, in Eastern Kentucky, we don't want a handout. We don't want to hand up. We just want the government offer back and let our coal companies go back to work. I spent the summer going to legislative energy hearings. And you know what? There's no silver blueprint for how we're going to fix this energy problem. Everybody's using the natural resources that they've got in their state. Some are using oil, some are using gas. Nobody wants to use coal no more because the Democrats have made it like it's the devil. It's not the devil, folks. It's the most economical thing that we can burn, especially in Kentucky because it's right here in our ground. We have got to go back to burning our coal. We got to get the government out of our business. My bill that I passed, our state government was enforcing the law way over the federal government guidelines. We had 72 permits that they were charging our coal companies in Kentucky over $100 million. Well, if you ain't going to get them for violating something or whatever, we'll just break them. we'll just break them. And why we can't just let our people mine our coal and bring our rates back down? I heard Brandon and Representative Gooch, who chaired the Natural Resource Committee, said 10 years ago we had the second lowest energy rates in the United States, just 10 short years ago, because we were burning our coal. These folks came before us this summer in our interim joint committee, and we poured our gut. We spilled our guts. We want to burn our coal. Now we're buying it. We want to burn our coal, but I can tell you this: we're looking at alternatives also. But we've got to burn our coal until we can look into nuclear, till we can look into hydro, till we can look into. I've heard people sit up here and talk about the solar and the wind. So when those energy conferences I'd go to, there'd be 35 or 40 different legislators from different states. In their grids, all across the United States, 1 or 2% solar and wind is out in a grid. It's unreliable, it won't work. It's okay to have it in your grid, but it's not sustainable. It's absolutely not sustainable. The winter that we had starting in January last year, well, I mean, how much energy are you going to generate with 8 inches of snow on top of those things? We've got to go back. We laid the first, I really feel like we laid the first plan out last session. We're going to, that guy right there, that guy right over there, this gentleman, I'm telling you, our mountain legislators, John Blanton, we're going to get our coal back. We are going to get our coal back. And if the Democrats don't want to help us do it, that's fine. We'll do it. We've got the majority, and we will get our coal back. And I promise you, that is going to be our goal. Energy is going to be one of our top priorities this session. That doesn't really take care of what we're up against right now. As I told you when I stepped up here, I had a statement prepared, but I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read it. We're going to really focus on energy, not because of this or because I'm up here. It was already, as somebody got up here and said a while ago, these data centers and this AI and all this stuff, we've got to get in the energy business. We have got to get in the energy business. And I promise you, I will give you my word that is going to be my number one goal is staying on top of this energy, because I live with that gentleman right there who's chairman of the Natural Resource Committee, and we talk about it every night when we come out of session. We talk about how we're going to fix this. And I give you my word, we will fix this one way or the other. Thank you.
I saw one person coming from the audience.
Howdy, ma'am. I really appreciate that you've come here to listen to us. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It really means a lot. And my name is Jordan Whitaker, and I'm from Hazard here. I have the honor of loving this community, being part of this community, being counted among them during times like this, and serving them as a land surveyor here. I was one of the kids that left forever ago. I went to the University of Kentucky. I studied anthropology and Arabic there. And in 2017, I contracted a very serious illness that rendered me nearly unable to walk in a factory in central Kentucky. I spent many, many days as a young man wondering how I would take care of my wife, how I would pay for power bills, how I would pay for the rest of my life, really. And $27 was a lot of money. I don't know anything about building a power plant. I know it's probably got to take a long time. I don't know anything about the politics of it. I'll be frank, I don't give a crap about the politics. I care about the humanity of it. $27 is a lot of money when you don't know how you're going to make that money from day to day and when you're sick. Eastern Kentucky has the highest rates of certain illnesses in the nation and maybe the world. Eastern Kentucky has the highest rates of poverty in the entire country. And now we have what? The highest energy bills in the country. So sometimes it feels really alienating. I want to touch on this gentleman, he left, but he talked about the attitudes of Central Kentucky towards us. I will never forget the day that I was told by a professor at University of Kentucky, Jordan, if you just changed the way you talked, you would get better results from college and your classes. And every day I would go to Willie T. Library and I would sit on the 4th floor in a study hall called International Coal Group Study Hall. Well, guess what? If I remember right, Willie T. Library was built around 2005. And guess what? In 2004 and 2005, as a 14-year-old kid, I worked for International Coal Group. So if you talk to University of Kentucky at any time, you tell them I said you're welcome. I've traveled all over the world. I've lived in Southeast Asia. I've lived in Northern Africa. And I want to tell you right now, I have no confidence that any raise in your rates will cause a change in the quality of your power. I have never lived in a place anywhere in the world with worse quality than Kentucky Power and AEP. I lived in Central Kentucky for 10 years while I was a student and working there. My power went off once, and it stayed off for 3 hours. I've seen places be without power here in eastern Kentucky for months sometimes, especially during the flood of 2022. And I'll never forget, we can't forget the impact of natural disasters on these populations. As a land surveyor, we had a job somewhere towards Jackson around the time of the 2022 flood. And I'll never forget somebody calling me and saying, hey, we don't have to worry about that land survey. It no longer exists. The land didn't exist anymore. So when we talk about raising the rates on these people, you're talking about raising rates on some of the most vulnerable populations in this country. And you can't not, I do not trust that quality will increase. And if you're sick, trust me, I know what it's like to be sick and not able to walk or anything like that. Having consistent power means that your medical equipment works, that you can store your insulin, that you can store your medication. It means life and survival. And that matters more to me than the politics or anything like that. And I think it's really important in the time I have remaining to highlight the fact that we need multiple sources of power. We need multiple ways of making that power. Coal is a part of that solution, but in my opinion, it's not the only solution. And I say that as someone who's literally wearing sandals in front of you right now because I slid my boots off at the coal mine, put these sandals on so I didn't get the courthouse floor dirty, and I came in here to represent the communities that I love and care about. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Do we have other people who have decided they would like to speak?
My name's Angela Hatton, and I'm not trying to speak political, but I will speak to lived reality. Family here is still rebuilding after repeated disasters of the flood, and rate increases, regardless of how they're justified, come when people are at least able to afford them. How are Perry County families supposed to survive a 15% electric increase when our county does not have the jobs or opportunities for people to earn enough to afford it? Our citizens are already heavily burdened by local taxes and rising costs and out-of-pocket car repairs due to damaged roads, and now this increase adds even more pressure. Last year, Perry County alone spent $314,000 to Kentucky Power. As of September of this year, $446,000 to Kentucky Power. This will eventually have to be passed on to the taxpayer's burden, and we will be taxed more. That's all I have to say.
I know Senator Smith wanted to speak, but if anybody else wants to, you can come right up after.
Yeah, make sure if anybody else wants to come up, this is our chance, guys, to say our 2 cents. Angie, you'll tell me when you're ready.
Oh, we're ready.
Angie, it's good to see you, and I appreciate you all taking the time to come here. I know you did not have to do so, and it's good to see so many folks in here that care about this. But we mentioned earlier about where we're from. If you walk out that back door and you go across that street, you climb up that set of stairs there, that's where I'm from. There's a cabin that's the remnants still sit there, tucked behind the Presbyterian Church and the cemetery, and that's where this entire town was laid off of. And that's my family. And when I was a little boy, I'd come through here and drop back down around and see what was on the movie theaters, and then I'd cut back up by my grandfather's garage he had with Johnny Basso's dad to the power company, because my mother worked at the power company for 28 years. And I can tell you, some was a real family back then. They really cared about their workers. Now, this is back in the 60s and 70s, and they took care of their employees. Their Christmas banquet was one of the best ones that you went to here, and it was very much a family-driven business. And then something changed, and I'll tell you what I noticed is in 2008, under the Obama administration, and the war on coal really took root. Here's a figure. You had 318 coal mines closed in 8 months. Now, if you don't think that threw people through a tailspin, nothing else has ever hit us like that. We've suffered floods, droughts, fires, you name it. But we had never been hit with anything quite like that. Now, in fairness to the utilities, imagine a coal company is almost like a small city. They were also going through a very devastating time of trying to figure it out, trying to decide on whose side to be on. They didn't want to make the Obama administration mad and go with coal, because the idea was if you use coal, we'll punish you. That's how it was. They were putting their finger on the scale, and it was unfair. They were trying to respond to that, but we've seen what's happened to that. The fallout has been tremendous. Now, I say that to you because I have loved many people at the power company, my mother being one of them. Very proud of that time. So nothing I say this evening is going to be directed or hurt or harmful to anybody that works at the power company. But it is important for us to use this moment, to be honest. The power company will tell you that it's not them. All these people are leaving us, and we're stuck with what's left. I have less people here. I used to have thousands. Now I've got hundreds. Somebody's got to pay the bill. Our investors need their return, that blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. This lack of self-awareness, Angie, is what shocks me, that they don't realize they are a part of what's happening here. They are one of the biggest reasons people are leaving Eastern Kentucky. You cannot go into an industrial park and pay 22 cents per kilowatt hour for any business out there, period, and expect them to stay. The gentleman from Jenkins knows that. That's why those industrial parks are empty. And trust me, I know. I have the scars of trying to make something like that happen. But you can't pay that in here and then look at the utility company who's standing there with their hands out. So, I mean, there's so much I could say tonight to you all, and I'm going to go through some stuff, but what I want to offer you all is a solution. Here's where we're at. You see these gentlemen in here? All my legislators, please stand up. I'm really proud of you guys, and I'm going to tell you for a reason. Stand up. I wanted to point them out because last year we had the utilities in our office. The Senate sat down with them, and we gave them 12 questions to answer. And we wanted to try to work with them because they wanted to try to figure out a way of securitizing a project, a big project in Kentucky, to help us lower the rates. We asked them 12 questions. One of the biggest questions on there was, what are you going to do if you do not get this securitization, if you do not get this money? Now, I want to pause for a second. Securitization is this. You pay the bill. They're going to do it, but they're securing it with you, the ratepayer. So you're going to wind up paying for it. So that's why we wanted to make sure that they understood that if you don't get this money, what is your plan? I have those 12 answers on my phone. They never answer that question for us. That's why it broke down. Now, think about this for my Public Service Commission people. Look back in history. How many times have we gone through this rodeo where they don't get the answer they want, so they come to you? They didn't get the answer they wanted from us, so they came to you. And it's not just you. When you've given them the wrong answer, they've gone to FERC before. They're not opposed to going outside the boundaries to get the raise for those profits to be outrageous. And it's going to go on and on and on. I challenge you to go back and look and see how long this rodeo has gone on, and it has to stop, and tonight it can. We, as the General Assembly, can take this off your plate, and here's why. Don't give them this raise. Send them right back to the table with us and make them answer those questions, because there are so many new opportunities out there that we're going to have to make them be a partner with us, or we can step forward like other states are talking about, and start taking some of this territory and finding a partner that can provide us with energy and an affordable rate without breaking your families. So this is not a far stretch. So the answer is in this room. And it makes sense to you all because that's exactly the pattern of what they do. You tell them no, you heard that board, they're just going to go somewhere else and get it. They have gone around us simultaneously and asked for raises with us and FERC at the same time to be caught. And I'm going to tell you a brave person. I'm not brave. I'll do it when I get mad. This lady right here is brave. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know how many times we had to fight with utilities, and I'm not going to say who it is, but multiple times. And I had one partner in crime, and that was this young lady right there who would go through hell with me. When nobody else would show up, she stood there for you and would testify against some of the biggest conglomerates out there, and she's tough. And I know where her principle comes from, so I understand some people have challenged that. You're mistaken if you don't think this lady is a firm fighter for what is trying to be fair. But I'm going to say this on my time, and if they have to gong me, it's okay. Here's why it's important to send them back to us, guys. This is where we can really make a difference for them. And I'm going to cut through all this other stuff in here. But so we've seen states do this. They've been breaking up utilities that are no longer able to serve the regions from which they come for with a price that's affordable and helps that region build. You cannot be price poor in this country. You cannot be energy poor and expect to have any businesses in your community. And you cannot tax your way into prosperity. It's never going to happen. There's new things called GETs, or what they're called grid enhancing technologies. These are cutting edge software and hardware systems that they can run inline, just like what you see with your computer, that you'll start running slow and you'll run it on there and it cleans it up to help speed it up. These things are amazing for helping them improve the capacity, efficiency, and reliability that's on these lines. So when they're down, they know which ones are down and how to go around them. So you don't have to put boots on the ground. You can redirect through a smarter grid. So these are things we can make them do. There's a dynamic line rating. There's the new advanced power flow controls. There's topologies and optimization hardwares and softwares for them. Advanced superconductors, which are remarkable, and storage. Where are they on the point about putting power together in front of us and saying, this is our pathway forward? Here's what we have to have. It has to stop tonight. Or it's the next group that's going to be here replacing you guys. As you leave and come back, they're going to be back there. They're always going to ask for more money. But how many times in the past have you given it to them? And we're right back. They're standing in front of my desk next year wanting us to securitize a project. So we ask them, okay, if we're going to securitize this, where is it? Where was it, Chris? It was in West Virginia, wasn't it? They want us to securitize a plant with your money in a place our Public Service Commission has no jurisdiction. Well, that's a great idea, isn't it? Yeah, of course, we said no. So then we said, if we do it, then will you guarantee you're going to do it in Kentucky? First off, we weren't even sure they would do it. There was questions about whether or not they'd take that money and share it with their board, have a banner year, and give out those bonuses. There was absolutely no faith in the room, and that's why I'm encouraging you all, because your decision sends them back to us and makes them negotiate with us in good faith, and we're up to the job. Trust me. I know you don't want to be over there, but these people in this room asked me to do it. They put me here, and they put Scott here, and they put Chris here, and these other people there, and we will do that job. That's where it's supposed to be. But we can do it now with a measure of efficiency, and we have new tools out there, new technologies, and new software that we can make the state of Kentucky, instead of just crawling out of this thing or hoping we can survive, barely get through. I want us to be building. I want us to be thinking about how many new homes we're going to add and how we're going to be able to get this new power. I want us to have surplus power because we have all the natural resources to do it. It is ridiculous to me to come in here with this piecemeal plan, and if they don't get it from you, are they going to go to FERC next? Force them to come back to us. This buck has to end with us. I am chairman of Natural Resources. They know who I am well. I've been there for a while. But I can tell you this puts it back into our wheelhouse where we can do some things that you all don't have the power to do. And we're looking at that as well. We need to empower you all to do more, to have more initiatives, because I know how very limited it is for what you guys have to do with what we put on you. So first off, thank you. But this is something that we can help. We can help with the lifting here. We have a very good plan about making it do it. I don't dislike the power company, but it's this. Either they get the job done and they can do it at an affordable rate and provide the power that we need and instill the confidence in the market with the big players that want to come into Eastern Kentucky that say to us, why do we want to partner with a company that wants to sell? Why do we want to partner with a company that can't seem to get it, that has to do this or that and need more money all the time? No, we need to have a strong energy partner in Kentucky. That starts tonight. You guys can begin that. It will come back to us, and I will tell you, we will finish it. Because one way or the other, this is done. I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. I've watched it. You've seen the pain in these people's face tonight, and it has to end. We're very capable of doing it. Thank you for my time, and bless each and every one of you.
Anyone else want to speak? I have learned my lesson about letting people speak twice, sir. I'm sorry. That was a bad mistake, the one night that we did that. I will remind you that we will have public comment on the day of the hearing in Frankfurt. And we also will take written comments and email comments. We do read them. We watch replays of these hearings. We're having another one of these in Ashland. You can check our website for information. If you want to send a written comment, send that to PSC at P.O. Box 615, 211 Sauer Boulevard, Frankfort, Kentucky 40602. And make sure and put case number 2025-00257 on your correspondence. You may also email us at psc.comment@ky.gov. Again, make sure and reference case number 2025-00257. That way it makes it into the proper case file. All right. We're giving anyone else who wants to speak an opportunity. Okay. If not, thank you all for caring enough to come out, and we're adjourned.